Yes. What's up, man? It's a Triple B, y'all. Please remember to because the activity of the haters is a threat to everybody who wants real talk, real talk. Yeah. So that'd be nice. I'm just generally rambling. I'm looking forward to the weekend with the big pangulation fighting the juggernaut, Big Joe Joyce. It's a shame. I like these guys, but I'll do a full review tomorrow after they've weighed in. This will be very important. Now, I was just talking about Gay J, right? Gay J fans. They're truly pathetic. The hardcore normie NPC Gay J fan. Oh, Joshua's such a good guy. He's such an amazing guy. He does so much for people. He's the kind of guy your daughter would like to marry. Like I said, they actually did an article of that in the Daily Mail. Obviously, it was a press release because it appeared in loads of papers. I searched for it since. It's been removed, which is odd. But who's that? Who's the bum who does the Daily Mail? I don't. All the papers are bad. The only reason I read them all the ones that are free online. Have a look because I want to know what they're pushing on people, know what their agenda is. But the Daily Mail guy, some old bum, who wrote an article about how social media and internet doesn't count. The real boxing is filing your report and getting it in the newspaper. What a clown! And he wrote this 2-pager. As I said, it's been removed for some reason about how Gay J was the perfect man that every woman, middle class girls and women as well, would want their daughter to bring home. Can you imagine? Yeah, I'm sure Sophie's mum would learn nothing more than nice, well-educated 22-year-old blonde Sophie in Hampshire or Berkshire, bringing back some great behemoth, 6'6", steroided up, black drug dealer. It's a joke. They laugh at you almost. I've had normies say, I know a normie, right? Normie's maybe a bit harsh because he's a bit cynical about the world, and he's a bit clued up about certain things. He ain't really into ethnic people, but he's like, you've got to say though, innit, Triple B? I've got to say Triple B. Like he's Joshua, though, he's alright, innit? He seems like a decent guy. I said, well, don't fall for that crap, man. What you read in the papers, it's just rubbish, man. Huh? He's just a massive, degenerate, low IQ buck. Yeah. He's not nearly as bad as his fans, though. This Gage is making some money. Yeah. I've been, I don't know, man. It's about 95% of my comments on my videos are positive. And that's pretty good. Because, you got to be doing something good. Obviously, you're always going to get some haters. You can't, the only channel that will get no haters. You can't be lying about everyone, can you? You can't be lying about everyone. The only channel that won't get any criticism would be a channel by some little kids doing something sweet, or a retard, who's trying to open his own company, and they all go, oh, this is so great, and that ain't Triple B, ain't no retard, it ain't no child. You feel me? He speaks the real truth. You get me? That's not to big myself up. I got no need to bring myself up. That's up to me, fans. But yeah, I do get some negative stuff, obviously. Some are shills. Some of them, a lot of them are YB and Spencer Fearon accounts. And the other one, well, he's removed a lot of them since I busted him. The fat pink guy. The pink pig. The porcine pig who pretends to be a heavyweight boxer. But it's just a heavyweight joke. But so some of my comments, it's just pathetic, man. I mean, you don't know what you're talking about. Of course, Gay J is not on the juice. It's genetics, innit, fam? He's Nigerian. It's well known. It's genetics, fam. It's genetics to put on 14 pounds of muscle, innit? In 6 weeks over Christmas of pure muscle. That's genetics, fam. Apart from he's a skinny guy. Yeah, Nigerians can be quite big. I know that. Yeah, they got that big, solid physique. A lot of them, not all of them, and not Gay J. Yeah. And, the way it's developed is just so ridiculous. Everyone thinks that guy's inducing, from all the HGH growths he's got on his knuckles. Oh, yeah, this is from street fighting, isn't it? Sure, Gage. That's why they're still changing every time you have a press conference. Fool. Gage can't be juicing because otherwise, he hasn't failed the test, innit? He's the most tested athlete there is, innit? So there you go. I'm not even going to go into, how easy it is to bribe, fake, mask, all these things, a test, but these idiots seem to actually believe in that shit. They actually believe in that shit. They actually believe in that shit. That testing is reliable and correct. You know, I'm just like, you know, the best thing is when people say that, you laugh at them, you tell them the truth, and then you say, what about Lance Armstrong? He never failed a single test. Oh, but yeah, you know, idiots. Or like Tommy Morrison. He said he was taking he was taking steroids. He was an honest guy, right? Before they whacked him. You know, he was taking steroids from the age of 18. You know, and he was in the Olympic trials and stuff as an amateur and as a pro. And he never popped. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's stupidness. That's stupidness. And you know, oh, of course he's not gay, Joshua. He got a son, innit? Yeah, the son that he denied could be his. Denied existed. Yeah, and also like Philip Schofield got 2 daughters. Elton John was married to women. Freddie Mercury, George Michael had affairs with women. I suppose they're not gay now, innit? You know, it's pathetic, man. Gay J's fiddled with some women, I'm sure, but mainly he's into men. His first boyfriend was one called Lats. He was this muscle guy who you see hanging around him. And then obviously there was AKA Skids, who was the love of his life. And now he's got Heine. You know, there's something weird going on. I've been getting some information from a source. I'll do a video about it. About it's darker than people think. It's not, you know, it's the degeneracy and sickness is way darker than people think. And, you know, I've already spoken about golden showers and brown showers and sheiks, but there's more stuff to come out. And it carries on. Yeah, so, yeah, you get me. So I bought a Boxing News today. You know, I did a video about a year and a half. I said, I'm not buying this nonsense anymore. You know? Boxing News, like, and me, I've been close for years. You know, since I was 14, I used to buy it. I used to go to the wait, like in the, what's it called? Newsagent, W.H. Smith, and desperately hope it was in. I was so retarded, like one time I go in there and I asked the guy, oh, is Boxing News in there? He goes, no, I'll be in any second. And I took him literally. I thought, oh, they're just waiting for delivery next. Because I was sitting there waiting for an hour in the shop. And I realised, oh, that's just a figure of speech. He just means like it'll be in soon, like tomorrow or the next day. You know? One time I was so desperate for a big fight, I got what's it called? Subscription, right? I was like, oh, I don't really want a subscription because sometimes it comes a day late or da-da-da. And one time there's a big fight and it didn't arrive when it was meant to. I went out and bought the Boxing News. That's how much I love Boxing News. And I put money in their coffers as well. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was a young kid. You know, maybe 10 grand. I don't know. Over the course of all these years, maybe more. So yeah, you know, it was with a heavy heart I had to reject them because all they would talk about was they wouldn't talk about Alejandro Ayala, even though they interviewed Robert Smith, from the British Boxing Water Control, said, oh, it's been a real tough year, hasn't it? Yeah, it has. Yeah, this, that and the other. Conor Ben. They didn't mention Alejandro Ayala at all. Scumbags. They're meant to be independent, caring about boxers. They're not independent, obviously, now because they got bought out by this big publishing company. So, you know, their hands are a bit tired anyway. But, you know, that creepy guy, Matt Christie, looks like a nonce. Yeah. But, I mean, you know, he might have tried to fight, but he can't really, otherwise he doesn't get his job. And going on endlessly about women's boxing. I once counted 1/3, in one issue, there's 1/3 of pages in Boxing News, yeah, was about women's boxing. And they had a cheat to say that Taylor Serrano saved boxing in 2022. I mean, how can you take these people seriously? You cannot. You can't. And how can they take themselves? How can they actually sit there writing this nonsense? I know they've got an agenda, they've got to fulfill it, but how can they? I would be like, come on, blood. Yeah, okay, I'll write a little bit about women's boxing, but I'm not gonna make, you know, these huge claims about how great it is when it's dog shit, pure dog shit. Female diarrhea is what it is. Huh? But I bought it when it shoot. You know what? Because it had a Zhilei Zhang, Joe Joyce preview. And you know what? I felt a bit of nostalgia. Sometimes it happens. I get that nostalgia. Because, you know, back in the day, I just used to love it when I see that Boxing News there. You know, and it's with the red print and the black print. I don't care, man, that it looked whack. It was just, you know, that was my highlight of the week, tragically. You know, even when I was working and things, you know. That's a highlight of my week. Well, you know, I mean, obviously, this is when I was younger, right? This is before I hit the party scene and the pum pum scene. You get me? So obviously, I used to love boxing and make sure I get it. I even make sure I was sent in when I were behind door, right? And obviously when I discovered drugs and pum pum, okay, that's the highlight of Wheat Blood, isn't it? But in terms of like a regular thing I look forward to, boxing has always been there. Yeah, I remember it used to be on Wednesday, and then because they used to have Wednesday night fights, didn't they, on the BBC, and then it changed the days a bit. Now I think it comes out on Thursday, which is today. Yeah, so I bought the first issue. The issue. Yeah, and there's a letter. There's a letter by Scott McPherson. I hope you watch the channel, you clown. Oh, you're such a normie. You obviously don't. You probably subscribe to Sporting Shilicons. This is what Scott McPherson has to say in the letters page. The letters page is hilarious for how whack the letters are. I'm sure the guy who chooses the letters does it on purpose. He has to have a sense of humour because some of them are so poor. Anyway, this one is, "Lay off, Joshua," says Scott McPherson. "Anthony Joshua won nearly every round against Jermaine Franklin, didn't he? Or did I miss something? Considering the criticism he faced, you think he'd lost the fight? I wouldn't be surprised to see him retire because the scrutiny he faces is utterly ridiculous." Can you imagine suggesting that? Oh, Gage's going to retire because a couple of people said bad things on Twitter, innit? "Give him a break," says Scott. "Let him rebuild, and if we really have to judge his career, let's at least wait until it's over." Oh, Scott, look, but pull your tongue out of Gay J's arsehole, mate. Yeah, I bet you must have the longest tongue in history. Like, I don't know, like what animal's got the longest tongue? Anteater. You must be like a fucking anteater, Scott McPherson. Putting your tongue up Gay J's rectum. You can probably get to his stomach all through his intestines. You sick pervert. I mean, imagine writing a letter like that. I mean, the guy choosing the boxing news must be thinking, "Oh man, look at this clown. We got a Apprentice. This is too funny, too funny." What else was in it? Let me have a look. They had Derek the Sweet D Williams, right? I quite like Sweet D. I remember him from back in the day. He's writing an article. It's not bad. Well, no, I mean he does this bizarre analogy. He compares Gay J to what's it called? What's the Crown Court? The major Crown Court called in London, right? Yeah, Derek talks about the Old Bailey and compares it to Gay J. I mean, I don't think it's pretty poor comparison. You're right, it's okay, Derek Williams. He's one of the guys that he's right in the average boxer, but sometimes people think just because they're a bit brighter, they got they over-egg the pudding. I think that's a really poor comparison. But I like Sweet D, as I said. It's a good old school name. What else was in there? I'm just flicking through boxing news. Kilbrook says, "Oh, I'm great. Oh, everything's so good, blah, blah." Morrissey Talma. Yeah. Moses, a.k.a. Enrico Talma. So he's fighting an unbeaten guy this weekend. Sorry, not an unbeaten guy. He's been beaten like 9 times, but he's never been stopped. And a significant amateur career. He's not that good, but he's never been stopped, including by Zan Kosubutsky or whatever his name is. So that's interesting, actually, to find out what happened. That's a good fight for him, really. Whatever happens, he'll probably stop him, but... and Zhang Pri. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad... I'll tell you what, I give the BN, it wasn't bad. You know why? Because it wasn't full of dog shit women's boxing. There's one 2-page article on women's boxing, about some row between Scotland and I didn't read it, obviously. That's a wasted 2 pages. And they have the end thing in boxing news when they have the 60 seconds when they beat someone. I think the last ones I've seen have all been women, but they've actually got a male boxer for once. I don't care that women likes to, who would play her in a film of her life? Have you been Star Trek? Some of these questions are pathetic. The last time you cried. The worst room. Who wrote this nonsense? A guy called Andrew Fairley. I mean, what rubbish questions. I know we want a bit of colour. Yeah, it's nice to know something a bit more than just who's your favourite boxer and things, but, blood clot. I remember in the ring, or some American magazine. I used to buy everything when I was young, not just boxing news, everything I could on boxing. And they would have a similar thing where they ask the boxer about his life, and they'd say, "What's your favourite flavour ice cream?" Get the fuck, man. Blood clot. This is back in the day when you didn't have salt and caramel and all them stupid things, man. So it'd be like vanilla, strawberry, or chocolate. I mean, who gives a... I mean, honestly, it's pathetic. But American stuff is retarded. But, yeah, so that's... That was quite funny later on Gauge. There's also a guy called... what's his name? Elliot Warsaw, right? Yeah, Elliot Warsaw basically got the job. He's one of them pretentious writers that try and make things a bit more profound and, bring, more intellectual. He largely, I wouldn't say largely fails, but, sometimes you can see this is unnecessary. Talk about boxing. It's not about you, blood. Writers are very egotistical people. Most people don't realise. They basically just want to talk about themselves, in some way or another, or want to big themselves up. I mean, that's part of the game, I guess. There's so many bad writers that are respected, like Burt Randolph Sugar, who's dog shit with his stupid cigar. Anyway, he's not around anymore, thankfully. Idiots like that. And all people are like, oh, Mark Cram's so good. No, he's not. He's okay. So Elliot Warsaw, so he wrote an article. Yeah, you know what? He was talking... Elliot Warsaw, let's background, let's be clear, right? So Elliot Warsaw first came to prominence because he wrote David Gay's biography, right? And so he had access to David Gay. And, ended up getting busy with his sister. He took care of David Hayes' sister's pom-pom. Yeah? And he obviously done a good job too. I think they're still together, they got married. There's another oil driller, another wimpy male oil driller. I see it quite a lot. You get these wimpy males, white males, that are like quite wimpy and slimmy, and they get an African queen. I mean, I'm not talking about, obviously, guys like Caleb Plant. He's a bit of an alpha. He would be a Chad if he wasn't, such a wigger, man. Collecting trainers and things. But, yeah, he's another oil driller, I mean, there's a lot of oil drillers like... in this case as well, because David A's sister obviously is mixed, they like cafe latte, pom-pom, not the proper African queens. What I have seen, the African queens are starting to get busy with the skinny white, intellectual white males. It's very strange, this man. Very strange to me. I knew this guy. Yeah, he was in rehab, and I was in rehab with him too. Yeah. And rehab's a joke I left off 2 weeks ago. This is pathetic, man. You're just rinsing my money, you clowns. I mean, this is the most pathetic 12-step nonsense. This is such nonsense. You should be ashamed. I can look in the mirror and pass this crap. Yeah, I walked out. But there's this guy there. I got on him quite well. And there's a lot of frauds. A lot of rich people and frauds in rehabs. They're just egotists and frauds. A lot of them do drugs when they're in the rehab. And this guy had a real big job, heading up some big betting firm. It was like Betfair or Ladbrokes, something of that size in Malta. I think it was to do with gambling. And he used to say how they used to like hire ships and get gamblers. Anyway, he ended up, I mean, this is a Malta of crying out loud. He ended up getting addicted to crack and brown. He said the last year of his job there, we got sacked. He was off his nut every single time he come in. And, they just got too obvious after a bit. But, yeah, so he went on some rehab in South Africa. There's quite big rehabs for rich people. And he met an African queen, yeah. He became an oil driller. This big posh white guy with a crack and heroin habit. I think he'd been to Eton, or one of the real big ones, to Eton or something. I think it was Eton blood. Anyway, whatever, man. But yeah, Wessel, he's a bit pretentious. He tries. He thinks he's a bit better than other writers. I prefer boxing is a salty sport, right? Now, when it comes to journalism, there's a difference between journalism and books. I've been reading some books. Some of them are just cracking, man. Because boxing is the most interesting sport by far of any sport. But you don't get that many books on it, like I said, because there's no money in it, right? And a lot of the books are rubbish, but so when you get good ones, like I just read this one. I read it twice now, but I've forgotten it the second time. It was called it's about Rick Elvis Parker, yeah, and getting slotted by Tim Doc Anderson. I'm going to do reviews on all these because and some of the box writers are real good, and they can afford to be a little bit more pretentious, yeah. But for straight up, factual boxing news, yeah, type stories, you just want a bit more earthiness. But yeah, so Warsaw. So he also did the Gilet Zhang. Big bang! Joe Joyce, the Juggernaut preview. It wasn't a bad preview, to be honest with you. I more or less agree with it. I more or less agree with it. You know, and I'm gonna do my proper preview tomorrow. But you know, Joyce has to be the favourite. The question is, how much of a favourite is he, and can the fight go the distance? But he wrote this right. This is the intro. Much like how a footballer becomes better in the eyes of fans the more time they spend on the bench. You know, they're basically saying that when you know in sports, after a guy's retired or when they put him, you know, when he's not playing all the time, people are like going, oh, actually we were slating him all the time. Actually, he's better. Yeah, I guess that's what he's saying. I don't really like football, so I don't really get on it. And this is a bit I like. And much like how an ex becomes less repulsive with the passing of time, the reputation of heavyweight Joe Joyce has only enhanced as a result of the incompetence of his peers in recent months. That's not the best analogy, but I like that. Much like how an ex becomes less repulsive. I don't really think it fits the Joe Joyce story, but I kind of giggled at that, you know. To be honest with you, I've been lucky, man. I've never been repulsed by an ex, to be honest, you know. I was never that bitter. A few girls I was like, man, I do miss her, but, you know, I just went back to the pum pum buffet and stuffed my face blood. Yeah, but there's a few girls you're like, yeah, you know, I'd have liked to be with a couple, you know. But I never thought they was repulsive. You know, I thought you were a materialistic bitch. You ungrateful materialistic bitch. But, you know, there was never like that repulsiveness. You know, in fact, after you split up with an ex, sometimes you start thinking, man, I was bored of smashing you before, but now I wouldn't mind another go on you. I wouldn't mind another go on you. I kind of miss it. I miss the smell. I miss the look in your eye, man, when I make love to you. But yeah, I've never been repulsed by an ex. I'd probably be repulsed by some of the ones I went out when I was younger. I've seen them now, like, you know, like probably 16 stone and fat and ugly and alcoholic. But, you know, I went out with some sorts back in the day, believe that. Anyway, enough about the Triple B. I don't want to talk about myself. Yeah, I mean, you know, let me tell you, man. I mean, the gay J love is pathetic. It's reaching an end, thankfully. Like I said, my fans have been passing me some quite interesting information. Quite interesting information. You know, we need to know more about this alleged PED fail, although we probably won't. Because like I said, it doesn't seem to come out immediately when they fail in boxing. It just doesn't. It comes out way after. And why do footballers never ever fail a PED test? Why do they never fail a PED test, footballers? And you'd be like, oh, they don't use steroids. Oh. It's funny how all these normies don't know shit about anything. Yeah? I've always got an opinion, but it's concrete. Oh, well, steroids are no good in football because, you know, it's about skill and speed. It's not about and muscles. It's like, you know, thinking that PEDs are only steroids and only muscle building. You know, there's all kinds of ways to increase stamina, you know. And strength, you do need some strength in football in certain positions, you know. It's not, look at Ronaldo's body. You know, people like him, like, he didn't have them back in the 70s. Compare him to George Best's body. You know, things have changed, you know. They want to get optimum. Football has got more money than anything, any other sport in the world. So you telling me they ain't cheating? They never, ever test. None of these people. There's been a couple of nobodies testing for cocaine, you get me? No one's tested for PEDs. Weird, isn't it? Weird. Anyway, fuck Gay J. Fuck the police. Fuck the Illuminati beast. Yeah. Yeah, Jermaine Franklin's also been piping up, though. Going, yeah, I've heard about Gay J failing the test, and he wants some answers. He wants some answers. Everybody wants answers. He ain't gonna get no answers, blood, because Gay J gets protected unless he's upset someone. I mean, to be honest, I just want to. I don't think it's good for boxing these failures. I mean, people that know, people on this channel, people that know, okay, they understand that drugs is all over the place, PEDs in boxing and all sports. But these failures, unfortunately, they attract bad normie news and, oh, it's disgusting, Conor Ben should be banned for life. I'm like, everyone, who's your favourite boxer? Oh, Anthony Joshua, he's so clean living. You're like, wow, you're off your nut blood. He's the biggest cheat of them all. And, you know, You know, and so it brings bad heat on boxing. And I want to see, as I said, Gage. Yeah, we've had the pleasure of seeing him beaten twice by Usyk, but not stopped, unfortunately. We've seen the real pleasure of a big fat Andy Ruiz with the pink nipples, smash him all over the place and basically make him quit. But I want to see another destruction of Gage at the hands of Wilder or Fury. Also, those are two fights. I mean, come on, man. They're interesting. They're very interesting. Oh, Big Joe Joyce, the winner of Zhelang, Big Bang, and Joe Joyce. Lightly Joe. Joe would just, I think, walk Gage down, batter him. Gage now is gun shy, flinches when you faint. You know, I seen a video recently. I mentioned it about the Joe Joyce sparring with Gage from years ago. It's just so odd to see Gage actually looking like a decent boxer, but he's not now. He's a clown. Hey, peace in the Middle East.